This is Danny with QuadLugs, and we're building the 275 box quad. So we've already unpackaged our adjustment motor arms, our landing feet, and the motor mounts. Best way I think to do this is to set them up on how they're going to be installed. And that way when we drill the holes, and we'll have to prep some holes, and that's what we're going to do right now. Whenever it's done like this, then you can put all the screws on one side or the other. So this side or the other, facing outward or facing inward. So it makes it a little bit more uniform when it's being installed. But again, you can do it however you want. Today we're going to be using an 1/8 inch bit, 16th inch bit, #1 screwdriver, and that's about all we're going to need. And of course, the drill. So let's go ahead and get started with prepping. 1/8 inch bit. And this is where your landing gear are going to be installed. So we want to go this way about 3/8 to 1/2 inch, and in the middle this way. So about like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. And we always want to make sure all the residue is out of it. The next hole we're going to prep is going to be this one right in this area right here. Easiest way to do that, put your adjustment head on top, press down, because this is going to act as a bit guide, this piece here. So hold it down tight. You'll see it slides down. And here it makes that hole. I use the 16th inch bit just to make sure all the residue is out. Next, we're going to drill through this hole all the way through this area right here. So we put it in, try to hold it this way and this way straight. If it's off a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything at all. Okay, so what we've done, we've drilled through here, we've drilled through here, and we drilled this hole. Now we want to do the same to the other three. Okay, we have that done. Let's prep the motor mounts. So here you'll notice a circle, and this is used to push the part out of the injection mold when it's being produced. Right in the middle of this, you can use it as an indicator to drill your hole. Really easy to do. And here we're using the 1/8 inch bit again. That's all we have. Let's do these three. Okay, next we're going to do the feet for the landing gear. And we're going to do the same things that we did with the motor arms. This is how they're going to be installed. One hole is already drilled, but we're going to need another one on this side if we want all the screws facing the same way. Once again, you'll see the circle, and right in the middle is where we want to drill, and it'll put it in the perfect place. Now that we have these all prepped, we're ready to start putting it together. So this is our wood. All of our wood is basswood. So if you break a piece, you can go to Hobby Lobby, Michael's, us, of course, or your local hobby shop, and you can find the basswood. So we use 1/2 by 1/2 basswood, except for the crossover piece, and it's 1/2 by 1/4. Again, it's all available. Very reasonable. You can repair it very easy. So the first thing we're going to install are the body side pieces, and they're 3.5 inches long, and they fit like this. Now if you remember, you want to have the holes either outside or inside. This is a good place to make sure that that's happening like you want. And if we install it like this, then you'll notice outside, outside. Okay? We'll do the same here. Now you may have some pieces of wood that are a little bit tighter and some that are a little bit looser. It'll all work fine. If it's a little bit tight getting on, you'll have to push it. You can even use a hammer to tap it down if you want to. It'll actually hold up to that. There we go. Now these are your 1/4 by 1/2, and these are 5 inches long, and that's going to be our what we call our crossover wood. Make sure on every piece that it's all the way in. Again, if it's really tight and you need to tap it to get it all the way in, just make sure that's done. Now that that's done, let's go ahead and put a couple screws in here. We're going to use a 3/8 long screws. And our 1/16 inch bit. If you remember earlier we had drilled this hole, this is where it comes into play. So we're just going to drill a pilot hole. And we'll install the 3/8 long screw. Now we'll take our box. We're going to put it in. You want to make sure that this is not hanging up on the opening, and just push it in. You can hold some pressure here and push it in. It's a good tight fit, that's what we want. And now you'll see it's pushed all the way in. You may have to tidy it up a little bit. And that's how it should look. We're going to do the same thing here. We'll slide that on and we'll push it through. Again, give some support. And it's all the way pushed in. So let's get our drill again. 1/16 inch bit, and we're going to drill a pilot hole through the wood. Now that we have our pilot holes drilled, let's go ahead and put our 3/8 long screws in, just as we did on the other. Okay, and that's what it should look like. Next, we're going to install the motor arms, and these are 3 inches long. Once again, some of them may be harder than others to slide on. And once again, if you need to tap it with a hammer to get it on, you can do it, no problem. So let's get all these installed. And we want them to be flush. Again, the 1/16 inch pilot hole will be drilled. You do not need to go all the way through the wood. Just go a little bit in and you're good. Now that the pilot holes are drilled, let's use our 5/8 long screws and we'll put them in. Now let's put our motor arms on. You want to make sure this is flush on either side, because when you do this next, it's going to lock this arm in. So make sure that it's flush. Make sure it's where you want it to be. We'll put our adjustment head on and push it all the way in. Again, make sure it's all the way in. A good way to check this, make sure it's all the way in. Good way to check this, you can just compare them to make sure they're the same. Now making sure that it's all the way in, let's place it on top, hold it down, make sure that the sides are smooth. It's where you want it. Using an 1/8 inch bit, we're going to drill through. Now when you do, just a little bit of pressure is needed. Again, this is going to act as a bit guide to guide it through. I use a 1/16 inch bit to clean it out. I turn this over, it's the easiest way I found to clear out all the residue. So what we've done, we've drilled through this piece and this piece. You'll have these screws in your kit. So let's take a washer and one of the lock nuts. And if you'll notice, the lock nuts have a nylon part here, and you have a flat piece here. It goes in just like this, the flat piece into the receptor. Okay, we'll hold it with our finger. Let's put this on, put our screw in. We're going to get it started, and then you can let your finger go in the back. After we have that, let's go ahead and set this to 45 degrees. Each is 15 degrees. That's 15, 30, 45. And let's tighten it up. Okay, we're snugging it now just to keep it on there good. When we're finished, we're really going to tighten it up really good and torque it down. But for right now, tighten it up enough to keep everything stable. So with this all the way pushed in, once again, make sure this is smooth on either side. We're going to continue on with just what we did there. Now that we have that done, and they're all set at 45 degrees, so let's install our landing gear. Again, make sure it's all the way in. After you have that done, a good little tip to make sure they're all the same so it doesn't wobble is just do this, and you'll see that they match up. Good. Again, if you're having a problem getting the wood on, if it's tight, and some pieces will be tighter than others, you can always set it down and tap it with a hammer. Good thing to remember. So let's go ahead and set it up just how it's going to be installed, so we can make sure the screws are all on the same side. And we're going to use 5/8 screws, or 5/8 long screws for this. Again, 1/16 inch bit, a pilot hole, and we're ready to screw them on. Now that this is done, let's go ahead and install them. Remembering the way I'm building it, the screws are all facing to the outside. Also, make sure that they're all the way in. 1/16 inch bit, pilot hole, once again 5/8 long screws, and we'll screw them in. Okay, we're done with that. Next we're going to install the lid hold down screw. I found a great way to do this is just to put the washer on. Install the nut inside. Tighten it up a little bit, and then I'll put hot glue around the edges. Let it dry really good. And then after that, it's done. You'll notice we have this hole already cut into the box. This is where the camera, the FPV camera, if you do install one, will install inside the box, and it sticks through just a little bit, so it's pretty well protected. A neat way to install the FPV camera. Your frame is completed. Next, we're going to install the motors and then the controls. See you next time.